Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online series 12 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the previous episode, which I've linked down in the description below, I tried out a really fun team with Zygarde-10% with Focus Sash and Bulldoze, as well as Weakness Policy Solgaleo, so we'll be playing a couple more matches with it today. Details for the team are in the description below, including a rental and a paste if you want to try it out yourselves, and thanks so much as always for watching. If you do enjoy, please share support by leaving a like on the video, I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, with us using Zygarde 10%, I want to know what legendaries you think deserve an alternate form down in the comments section below. Before we get started today, one thing to quickly note is that I had actually recorded these games before the games from yesterday's episode, but then basically reversed the orders of the episodes. And so, yeah, if you're confused and it seems like this was, meant to be the first episode, that it originally was the case. So, yeah, just providing some context, but let's get started. Alright, we've got a pretty standard Zacian Ogre team for the first one with Regieleki, Rillaboom, Indeedee, and Landorus-T. I'm intrigued by the Zygarde here. Weezing Gigas is also okay, but it is pretty weak into like Zacian stuff, right? Galarian Moltres with Assault Vest is interesting here. Regieleki is interesting here. I think Yveltal Solgaleo is also a viable approach in this game. What are the scariest leads from their end? I guess Landorus-T plus Indeedee, where you just go for Follow Me into Swords Dance, can be a problem. Yeah, that doesn't seem particularly fun to go up against. How do I actually counter the Landorus-Indeedee combination then? I don't see a definitive answer. Honestly, I'm kind of down for Zygarde Solgaleo here with Moltres and Regieleki in the back. Regieleki is actually really good damage into both Zacian and Kyogre. Galarian Moltres has the Assault Vest, so I can handle Kyogre and Indeedee. If Lando doesn't Swords Dance, Moltres can also take an attack from the Lando and retaliate back. Weezing Gigas is weird here because, like, it's not bad. They do have a Gigas in itself. And something like Gigas plus Lando or Gigas Kyogre or Gigas Regieleki, those are all really scary leads. Like, even if you don't get your ability activated, you still deal a decent amount of damage, especially to Dynamax Gigas. And they're going to go Regieleki plus the Zacian. Okay. So, this is already really interesting. Honestly, I kind of want to just Bulldoze and go for an attack here. Bulldoze, Max. I think there's a chance I guess something gets doubled up into here. I'd rather eliminate Zacian if I can, because then it paves the way for Galarian Moltres in this game, essentially. But I could see them maxing Regieleki, I suppose. So I'm down to Bulldoze, Dynamax turn 1, and actually just Quake into the Regieleki slot. Maybe Regieleki switches out into Lando here. That's certainly a possibility. But then I would at least get the Bulldoze off onto the Solgaleo and the Zacian and then be able to outpace Zacian next turn. So let's see. Okay, they stay in with both. They don't Dynamax Regieleki either, so I'm really intrigued on how this turn 1's going to play out. But what is Regieleki going for here? Could just be Volt Switch, I guess, into Solgaleo. I could have gone for, like, Steel Spike to be a little bit safer. Steel Spike on a Zacian is like the safest bet. I think just T-Bolt. Okay. And Blade? That works for me. I mean, we resist it. Cool. Okay, I mean, Solgaleo's taking a lot of damage on turn 1, but like, I don't think that trade-off is really that bad because I get the Bulldoze Policy combo off. I'm targeting Regieleki here, by the way, just because Regieleki is so annoying. Like, even after a Bulldoze, it still outpaces my Pokemon. And so I'd rather just, get rid of it immediately. So now one of my main questions is, who are they even going to Dynamax in this game? Kyogre is an option, Landorus-T is an option. If you bring out Lando, I can actually glare into Steel Spike, which is pretty cool as an option. I have my Regieleki in the back, which is absolutely useless against Landorus. I've got Galarian Moltres, which is like okay into it. So I expect Lando to come out right now, actually. Let's see. Nope, it's Kyogre. Okay. If you're bringing Kyogre out here, I'd argue that's a good thing for me. Especially with Spexalecki and Moltres here. Ideally, we want them to Dynamax the Kyogre. I'm honestly down to Glare into Kyogre in this position. And if Kyogre maxes, that actually bodes well for Spexalecki in the back. I'm just thinking, do I want to Quake or Steel Spike here? Because Steel Spike onto the Zacian slot's more consistent because they don't have any switch-ins into it. I actually think it's decently likely to end up protecting the Zacian slot, but I'm down to go for Glare and Steel Spike. And they're going to Dynamax Kyogre, which I honestly think is not a bad thing for me because it means you don't get spread type damage now. And it also means you're not Dynamaxing Landorus-T here for us. The other thing I was worried about was the possibility of them being like Scarfogre, but I feel like with those team compositions, it's kind of hard to run Scarfogre, because otherwise you only have one real Dynamax option in Landorus-T. They max guard. Okay. Cool. Free knockout with Solgaleo here. So we should outspeed the Zacian. Beautiful. This is +2, I'd assume it KOs. Nice. Zygarde has not even taken any damage yet, which is also awesome. Yeah, that turn 1 just kind of caught me off guard, because, like, my opponent just didn't do very much damage. I mean, actually, I shouldn't say that, right? They did, like, 60 to 70% worth, but the thing with Solgaleo is I don't really care about taking damage, if then I can just outpace you and KO you in subsequent turns. And their last one is Rillaboom. Wow. Okay. That is not a great final Pokemon for them to have in this position, honestly. So I've got Spexalecki in the back. Galarian Moltres with AV here is going to be excellent. Honestly, I don't mind protecting here. And just going for a Steel Spike onto Rillaboom. If Rillaboom doesn't have Protect here, I think we just win the game this turn. Yeah. That was awesome. I was not expecting Zygarde and Solgaleo to have such a strong performance right away, and Zygarde didn't even get to transform or use Glare. But yeah, I think like one of the upsides of using this duo and this team is that people just have no idea what's really going to come their way, right? And so I'm kind of surprised my opponent didn't play towards Landorus-T, but I think it makes sense if you're not Focus Sash on Indeedee, because then they were probably really worried about Regigigas plus Weezing as a lead, especially if you're not sashed on Indeedee, because then I can just max Strike onto Indeedee turn 1 and then just Will-O-Wisp into Landorus. But I didn't feel that comfortable leading Gigas plus Weezing here. And their lead, Aleki plus Zacian, actually is really strong into Gigas plus Weezing, because you can just pressure with T-Bolt into Behemoth Blade onto either slot on turn 1. So I can definitely see why my opponent led that, but then the Zygarde Solgaleo lead just was able to punish them really heavily right away. And since they didn't have Landorus-T in the back, it was going to be a really difficult game for them. So what a fun way to get things started, and let's keep things going. What? Another Weezing and Gigas team here with Zacian, Ogre, Shedinja, and Blastoise. Interesting. So Sun Steel Strike here can actually be really valuable into Shedinja. Low key, I kind of want to just go with Zygarde and Solgaleo, but I'm worried about it being like Scarfogre. Our Kyogre damage output here is actually pretty underwhelming, but like Spexalecki as a lead is actually pretty solid as well. I kind of want to just go Zygarde, Solgaleo, Moltres, and Aleki in the back. I'm down for that. I guess Zacian plus Gigas plus Weezing isn't really terrible here, especially because we do have the Babiri on the Weezing as well. But I don't want to play Gigas, Weezing, Mirror. And the thing with this lead is I can just bulldoze into Quake onto Weezing on turn 1. For such little downside. Oh, although I guess if they lead Weezing Gigas, I would actually drop my own speed, which is kind of awkward. Yeah, I do have to think about that. Yeah, assuming they have Weezing out on the field, right? Because then Clear Body is deactivated. But they're going to go with Zacian and Aleki. Oh, sorry, Zacian plus Gigas. Zacian plus Gigas? Huh. Okay, I have to say that's definitely intriguing. Sure. It's mainly intriguing because, like, yeah, Slow Start's still activated, right? Like, I'm down to just Bulldoze here, Dynamax, and then just Steel Spike into the Zacian slot. Because it's like, if you switch out into Weezing, okay, they're going to switch the Gigas out into Shedinja. Makes sense, you're trying to bait the attack into that slot. But like, what's Gigas' role here is my question right now, because did you not bring Kyogre as your last one? I guess that could be the case. Another nice thing in this matchup is that I have Rockfall, right? So I can just change the weather. And KO Shedinja, assuming they're not safety goggles. Why is their Zacian so slow? I mean, that's great news for me. I actually think we just win the game off this. But, yeah. You basically have no speed. I mean, not no speed investment. If I had to guess, like, they probably didn't cover for base 115 speed. It probably has just enough speed investment to outspeed, like, base 110s. But I actually think it's going to be really tough for them to come back after this turn 1. Because you just lost your one of your restricted mons for absolutely nothing. I guess, though, I should never count Shedinja out. Like, with Shedinja, there's always just so many shenanigans that can happen thanks to ally switch. That, yeah, it's still really far from over. But they go into Kyogre, which I'm totally okay with, because here I can just click Max Rockfall onto the Kyogre slot. Oh, I suppose Kyogre can go for Geyser here. That's kind of annoying. Thousand Arrows, Bulldoze. Like, I'm honestly down to Glare here just for their, like, full para chances, and also because, like, I don't really need a free switch in. I'm just confused as to why they brought a... Yeah, they go for ally switch, okay. And they didn't, they notably did not Dynamax Kyogre, so Shedinja's definitely fainting here regardless of the set that you are. That's awesome! I have not seen the Glare animation, but that's so cool. I just don't understand why they brought Regigigas. Like, maybe they just timed out in the lead matchup, because, like, the Gigas just, like, limited my opponent so much. This is the downside of using Gigas, right? It's like Gigas plus Weezing is... It's kind of hard to separate that duo. Now, you can bring Weezing without Gigas, right? It's actually really interesting with Zacian stuff. You just go for Scald. I mean, even if you get the burn there, it's not the end of the world, and they don't get a burn. Yeah. There's just a lot of things I was confused by, like, between the Gigas lead and then the Zacian being as slow as it was. Like, I'll take it, right? Because those were all things that greatly benefited me, but very surprising here. Now, bulky Zacian isn't exactly something that's unheard of. Also, actually, one thing I should talk about is the lead from my opponent makes sense if you're expecting me to go with Weezing plus Gigas. In fact, that's actually a really smart counter lead if you're betting on me leading Weezing Gigas, but I didn't, right? And because I did it, it just punished my opponent so heavily. So we've got Specs-Alecki in the back, so Kyogre's not really much of a problem here. Neither is Gigas, I suppose. I'm down to just Glare into the Kyogre slot, and then just go for a Steel Spike onto Gigas. Okay, so who's maxing here? Either way, though, I don't think there's any way my opponent can come back from this angle. Like, your Gigas does no damage, and I've got Specs-Alecki ready to deal with Kyogre. They actually Dynamax a Gigas. It's not a good sign if you're maxing a Gigas when Slow Start is activated, right? So, it's obviously great for us, but, yeah, surprising. Like I said, though, I think the explanation here is that my opponent was expecting me to bring the Weezing lead myself. But it's a hard gambit, and it didn't pay off for them. Get Glare off. Oh my gosh, that's such good damage from Steel Spike. Okay. Max Knuckle. Let's see how much this does. I guess like 15 damage. I didn't see how much we started at a turn with. Was that exactly 15? I don't remember. I thought we started at 271 and we're at 256, so that would have been pretty sick. Scald actually does pretty good damage there, and they do get the burn, but it's really too late at this point, in my opinion. Okay. Honestly, I'm down to just 1,000 arrows at this point with the Zygarde. Gotten more than I've really could have asked for here. And this is the fun thing about having something that's a really random speed stat, right? Like, base 115 is something that you're not really going to EV for, because, like, what Pokemon, you know, with base 115 speed are you trying to cover for normally? And so, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if my opponent Zacian just has absolutely no speed, or maybe just enough speed to outspeed, like, the base 110s, like I mentioned. Okay, there's Sunsteel Strike. Goodbye, Regigigas. Nice. Man, Zygarde has just stayed out on the field the whole game, and it's definitely been surprising. And just a third Scald. Yeah, it's fine. Solgaleo finally faints, but I am more than happy with its service to us in this game. Okay, now let's bring out Regieleki. And Specs T-Bolt can obviously just finish things off, so really interesting team comp here. I wish I could like talk to my opponent and like ask them about their decision to lead Regigigas, because if I had to guess, the best explanation is that they were expecting me to lead Weezing, but I just didn't feel great about Weezing Gigas in this game because of like the faster mons on their team like Kyogre and Zacian. I guess Kyogre is actually slower than Gigas, but the idea of Scarf Kyogre plus Zacian is a little bit scary, although I think Weezing Gigas actually is a decent lead here, but I just like didn't feel like I needed to go with it, and I didn't feel comfortable enough with it where I didn't think I would just win the game immediately with it, and so it's a good thing I didn't, because if I had led Weezing here, I think their lead would have really messed me up. So that's my best explanation as to why they led that. So yeah, let's just look for another one. Next game of the day here, and we're up against Necrozma and Kyogre. Okay, so MImikyu and Necrozma, there's also an Indeedee. Solgaleo fighting against Necrozma I think is pretty funny. I mean, Weezing Gigas here is not bad. It's not bad. Especially with Will-O-Wisp pressure. All of our Pokemon are like somewhat decent here. Here's the scary thing, right? If I want to activate Policy on Solgaleo with Zygarde, I would also end up activating Policy on their Necrozma Dusk main, which I don't love. Honestly, I think Weezing Gigas is really solid here. I'm gonna go down to go for that, and then probably just Zygarde Solgaleo in the back. I mean, Specs-Lecky and AV Galarian Moltres are actually pretty cool here, but I'm down to go for the other mode with this team and try it out. Zygarde Solgaleo, I guess, isn't even terrible, because I could Bulldoze and then Steel Spike into whatever's next to the Necrozma if they let it. But the thing with Weezing Gigas is if we're able to burn the Necrozma, my opponent's just in terrible shape. But okay, it's Indeedee plus Necrozma. So then the question I have here is, are you Focus Sashed on the Indeedee on turn 1? Because if you're not, you're in a lot of trouble. I think Sash is so likely here, though, is the problem. I almost don't want to Dynamax the Gigas here because I'd rather max Solgaleo still. I also have just no idea how fast they are relative to us. Like, I'm kind of down to Crush Grip and Will-O-Wisp on turn 1. Huh? Okay. Did Necrozma protect? No. What are they going for? Okay, perfect. They just Sunsteel Strike into Babiri Weezing. That's amazing. If I hit the Will-O-Wisp, I honestly think we're in such a commanding position now. Let's see. We should survive this with Babiri Berry, right? Beautiful. Okay. I get so stressed using Will-O-Wisp 9 years later, and I still do. Okay, excellent. Well, that's great. See, the thing is, I don't even want to Dynamax Regigigas at this point, because Weezing is going to faint relatively soon, right? And if I faint, then Gigas just doesn't provide me as much value. I'm down to actually just Crush Grip here. And Taunt. Because, let's say they just Sunsteel Strike and KO me. Yes, Slow Start gets activated, but then I just bring in, Zygarde. That's probably MImikyu coming in. No, it's actually Rillaboom. Okay, cool. You don't change the terrain that way. We get Crush Grip off. Nice. Almost a one-hit KO. Okay. Dragon Dance. What? Wow. Interesting. Well, good thing we taunted. I wonder if it's the Dragon Dance. Like, we've run into Dragon Dance Morning Sun before, which was kind of crazy. Okay, given that play, it actually does make some sense to max Gigas. No, I still don't love it. I mean, the burn obviously helps a lot right now. They have fake out pressure. I'm trying to set myself up for what? Like a Zygarde Solgaleo sweep. They're taunted on Necrozma, so I can't really do too much with that right now. I'm down to Ice Punch here and protect Weezing this turn, I think. Get some more value out of Gigas while we have it. Okay, they are going to max the Necrozma. So I guess the interesting thing about maxing Necrozma is I only brought physical damage in this game, and so each Steel Spike means that you'll increase your defense, and that's kind of annoying, but you're burnt, so your damage output really is not that incredible here. So I expect Rillaboom to just click Fake Out into Gigas, and for that reason I could have Dynamaxed it, but I think Weezing's fainting next turn anyway, so I don't really get that much value out of maxing it, and I think Solgaleo is just a better max option right now. Oh, they actually Fake Out Weezing. Okay, works for me. So we get a free knockout onto... First, they're going to Steel Spike Gigas. Yep. One's... Oh, that's actually really good damage. Yeah, not bad, actually. It's fine. Get the knockout onto the Rillaboom here. It's just these defense boosts that's obviously kind of annoying, especially because if I want to activate the policy on the Solgaleo, I'll most likely have to bulldoze my opponent, and that's not great. This Dragon Dance really took me for a spin here. I maybe could have brought Galarian Moltres, but we don't even have foul play on it. Kyogre comes out now. So my opponent is threatening me with the double knockout at the moment. Is that a problem? I think it's fine given the Zygarde and the Solgaleo in the back. Yeah. Crush Grip and just go for... I guess I wouldn't mind haunting into the Kyogre if I somehow even got it off. I don't expect it to. There's another Steel Spike. Yeah, honestly, I felt like after getting Will-O-Wisp buff, I was in a game-winning position, but the Dragon Dance allowed the Necrozma to recover a little bit in terms of getting like more damage off, which was pretty nice. So it's 2 KOs now. Neutralizing Gas wears off. Okay. I want to be a little bit cautious about clicking Bulldoze immediately this next turn. Calm Mind Kyogre as well. Oh man, they have all the setup here. Oh, that's a huge problem. My damage output is just really lacking right now. Honestly, not terrible damage from Crush Grip there. Oh, it's the Calm Mind lefty set. Oof. Wow. Calm Mind Kyogre and Dragon Dance Necrozma. Not fun. What to do here? They can just Origin Pulse into a max move on Zygarde, right? Okay, so I think I'm going to bring Zygarde out, protect Zygarde this turn. The problem is that they're going to be at +3 defense. It's going to be so hard to actually KO this Necrozma. So Crush Grip into Kyogre and then just protect into the Zygarde here. Like, I have a Dynamax to play towards, but the problem is that they've gotten so many defense boosts via Max Steel Spike. So I guess I needed to Hando Necrozma Duskmane a little bit earlier, but I don't have super consistent answers into it. Yep, Steel Spike into Zygarde. Okay. I guess my fear now is they can just KO me with the Sunsteel Strike. They also could just Calm Mind again here. It's actually Ice Beam into it. Yeah, that's a smart play. I think that's the right play. This is the downside about Gigas, right? Like, it's kind of just dead weight for me right now, and it's not doing anything. But we actually faint from Life Orb, which is good, so I do get the free switch in, which I've been looking for. Okay. So no more taunt. So the interesting thing is you're burnt right now, you're at -1. I mean, you're burnt, you're at +1 attack. It's these defense boosts, that's a huge problem though. I just can't really break through it because I don't even do that much damage right now to my opponent. So I can Bulldoze this turn. If I were my opponent, I mean, maybe they just, like, you could just Ice Beam into Zygarde right now, right? Okay. Ooh, the other alternative option is Glare and go for a full para. I'm just bulldozing Quaking here, but the thing is, I just don't do enough damage in this endgame because they built up all these defense boosts. So, how was I supposed to beat Necrozma Dusk main in this one with Dragon Dance and Calm Mind Kyogre? I guess I could have maxed Regigigas earlier on, but it's just tough because, like, I have no way around really, like, not activating their policy, and then the Dragon Dance is so threatening as well. Oh, interesting. Even with Dragon Dance, the Necrozma is actually still slower. Okay. I mean, I don't think a +2 Quake is KOing Necrozma. And they should have policy here as well. Yeah. I was hoping Necrozma would attack first there, but they actually end up being slower anyway. If I had max Lightning here, maybe, you know, we could Lightning into the Kyogre slot. Yeah, actually, that does do a sizable amount of damage. More than I expected. Okay. If for some reason they like... Nah, I mean, I'm sure Zygarde's going down here, but if somehow Zygarde survived the turn, would be in great shape. I'm sure it's Dragon Dance and Ice Beam, right? If you went Origin Pulse here... No, I'd probably still faint. Yeah, they went for Ice Beam. I mean, here's the interesting thing, though. Like, you do end up actually wasting that boost, because I just outspeed you anyway here this next turn, right? But once again, it's like, how do I deal enough damage to Kyogre in the late game? Okay. 2 turns of Rain left, +2 defense. +4 attack, +1 speed. We know Indeedee's in the back. Yeah, I'm down to just Quake into Necrozma. It's still possible, right? Because, like, I'll have EQ with Solgaleo. Oh, they do outpace me now. Does that make sense? I dropped their speed with Bulldoze. And then they Dragon Danced. Yeah, I was expecting to outpace them there. They just go for Origin Pulse. That's way too much damage, I think. Yeah, really strong defensive core here from my opponent that I really struggled to break through. There's Indeedee. I'm trying to think where I could have really improved in this game. Because it's just so hard to not activate the policy. I even got the burn onto them, but I think it's just a really tough matchup. If I had Foul Play on Moltres, things would be pretty different, I think, but I obviously do not. Okay, the Wing Con is a crit Max Quake into Kyogre right now, and for some reason they don't go for Follow Me, but they should always just follow me, yeah. I guess if Max Quake one-shot Indeedee here, we could maybe crit a EQ onto Kyogre, and that would be enough for a win, but really impressed by the Necrozma Kyogre combo from my opponent here, and that's not enough to KO Indeedee either. Steel Spike may have been, but still think there's a chance. They're sashed, although I guess if they were sashed, they go for another Calm Mind, okay. I guess that makes sense, because it means with that Calm Mind, you only need to hit 1 Origin Pulse rather than 2. Rain does stop, and I am at +3 special defense. Man, I wonder if I actually knocked out Indeedee there, whether or not I had a shot here. Oh, I do have Rock Slide as well. Actually, with Rock Slide, I can flinch them. It's just I'm not really dealing any damage into Kyogre here. But yeah, we'll start with the Rock Slide here, because it would KO the Indeedee and also give us a flinch chance into Kyogre. I'm trying to think if I could have like gotten Zygarde really activated in this game. Yeah, so Indeedee goes for Follow Me, no surprise there. Rock Slide does connect. How much does this do? Oh, it's such little damage here. Yeah, we needed like Wild Charge on Zygarde here, or Solgaleo to have a chance. They do flinch. I guess the interesting question here is, do I just go for the infinite flinches? They could just keep cycling Protect and Leftovers Recovery right now as well, so I really don't think I have much of a shot. Yeah, I'll just go for Earthquake and go for the crit EQ win con, but even a crit EQ I'm not sure does it. How much does this do? Crit would actually get the KO, but they are able to connect on Origin Pulse. I assume that's the KO here onto us. Yeah, well played. Very tough defensive core to break through here. Really cool stuff. Aleki could have been decent for me here, especially with choice specs, but I would have needed to stall out Necrozma. Like, Necrozma's just really solid here, but Galarian Moltres would be a potential solution into it, right? Because it's like, I could lead Moltres, and it depends on Necrozma's full moveset. I mean, Celestial Strike in itself and Steel Spike is pretty scary as is, so that's a problem, but yeah, I think that's that game really highlighted Necrozma's strength, and I think the Dragon Dance was actually very impressive on it, so kudos to my opponent there.